For nearly 20 years, Ellen DeGeneres built one of the safest images in Hollywood. Smiling, funny, kind. Her entire brand revolved around one message: be kind to one another. And for a long time, America believed it completely. Millions watched her every day. Celebrities trusted her. Hollywood protected her. But then, something changed. Not because of one scandal, not because of one interview, but because former employees started describing a completely different environment behind the scenes. An environment filled with fear, pressure, emotional tension, and suddenly, the woman who built an empire around kindness was facing accusations that shocked the entire entertainment industry. Because once the public starts questioning authenticity, everything changes. And maybe that's what makes Ellen DeGeneres' story so fascinating emotionally. This wasn't just a celebrity controversy. It was the collapse of a public image people thought they understood completely. Today, we're breaking down the private tension, emotional pressure, and hidden reality behind Ellen DeGeneres' public persona, and why fame built on perfection can become incredibly fragile. Back in the 1990s, Ellen DeGeneres was already becoming a major television personality. Funny, different, relatable. But everything changed in 1997 when Ellen publicly came out. At the time, that decision was considered extremely risky in Hollywood, and the backlash came quickly. Career pressure, industry discomfort, audience division. For a period of time, her career slowed dramatically. But years later, Ellen rebuilt everything. And when the Ellen DeGeneres Show launched in 2003, it became one of the most successful daytime television shows in America. Dancing, celebrity interviews, emotional giveaways. The atmosphere felt warm, positive, comforting. And over time, Ellen's public image became larger than entertainment itself. She wasn't just a host anymore. She became associated with kindness. That's important, because once someone becomes emotionally associated with positivity publicly, people stop seeing them as human. They start seeing them as symbolic. And symbolic people face impossible pressure, especially in Hollywood. Then came 2020, and suddenly, the public narrative around Ellen began changing rapidly. Former staff members and workplace reports described a much darker environment behind the scenes of the show. Stories about fear, emotional stress, toxic workplace culture. And because Ellen's entire public identity had been built around kindness, the backlash became enormous. Not just criticism, betrayal. Because audiences felt emotionally shocked by the contrast between the public image and the private allegations. And once trust breaks publicly, reputation damage spreads fast, especially online. Almost overnight, Ellen's image transformed from beloved television icon into one of Hollywood's most controversial celebrity discussions. Maybe the most interesting part of Ellen's story is not the controversy itself. It's the pressure that comes from maintaining perfection publicly for decades. Because human beings are inconsistent, emotional, flawed. But celebrity culture often demands something impossible: constant likability. And perhaps that's why so many public figures eventually collapse under image pressure. Because eventually, the difference between public identity and private reality becomes exhausting to maintain, especially when cameras are always watching. Over time, Ellen's show lost momentum publicly. Criticism intensified. Media discussions became relentless. And eventually, after nearly 2 decades on air, the Ellen DeGeneres Show officially ended in 2022. And maybe that ending felt symbolic, because Ellen didn't simply lose a television show. She lost public certainty. The audience no longer knew which version of Ellen to believe. And once public trust becomes uncertain, celebrity fame becomes extremely unstable. Here's the truth. Ellen DeGeneres' story became so powerful emotionally because it forced people to question whether public kindness and private behavior are always the same thing. And in Hollywood, that question can destroy entire careers. So ask yourself this: can any celebrity truly remain emotionally authentic? while spending decades performing happiness publicly every single day? Or does fame eventually turn everyone into a version of themselves? Backhand index pointing down, what do you think?